How free speech became my biggest survival risk. Just a single tweet, just a handful of characters, could put my entire life on red alert. I mean, who does? You tap out a thought, hit send, and move on, right? But within 48 hours, my inbox wasn't just full. It was overflowing with death threats. My job? Gone. My sister was practically begging me to delete every single account I owned, to vanish from the internet entirely. I never thought a single tweet, just a handful of characters, could put my entire life on red alert. I mean, who does? You tap out a thought, hit send, and move on, right? But within 48 hours, my inbox wasn't just full. It was overflowing with death threats. My job? Gone. My sister was practically begging me to delete every single account I owned, to vanish from the internet entirely. How did it come to this? How does a casual comment, 18 words long, unravel everything you've built? Believe me, I've replayed it 1,000 times. To understand, we need to rewind. Let's go back 6 months, to a time when I still thought I understood the rules of the game. Turns out, I didn't even know what game I was playing. My life was good, predictable, the kind of stable I'd always aimed for. I was a mid-level product manager at a clean energy startup, one you've definitely heard of. Think sleek offices, kombucha on tap, and a mission statement that actually felt good to say out loud. My salary was solid, my boss was mellow, and my biggest weekly commitment outside of work was trivia night at the local pub. It was comfortable. It was safe. Online, I posted the usual stuff. You know the drill. Cute dog pics, the occasional sourdough joke, because pandemic, right? And maybe a meme or two about how, hey, maybe taxes aren't optional for billionaires. Nothing controversial. Nothing that would ever, in a million years, land me on the nightly news or make my grandma clutch her pearls. I genuinely believed in the old story, the one they taught us in school. Speak your mind. The Constitution has your back, and healthy debate is the bedrock of democracy. It felt like a fundamental truth, as solid as gravity. Turns out the Constitution is great for protecting you from the government, but it doesn't sign paychecks. That's a lesson I learned the hard way. It was a Tuesday night. I was scrolling, probably winding down after a long day of optimizing workflows and strategizing market penetration. I stumbled across a viral thread, one of those online maelstroms about campus protests. Everyone was piling on, taking sides, and honestly, it felt a little performative. My brain, wired for problem solving and a touch of cranky sarcasm, kicked in. I typed out a quick reply. If we can't stomach uncomfortable opinions, we don't have education. We have expensive daycare. 18 words. That's all it was. No slurs, no threats, no personal attacks. Just a slightly snarky observation. A little jab at what I saw as intellectual fragility. I hit post, tossed my phone onto the bed, and went to sleep, completely oblivious to the digital wildfire I'd just ignited. I didn't give it another thought. What did I expect? A few likes, maybe a couple of dissenting replies, the usual internet chatter. By morning, the quote tweets looked less like a discussion and more like a war crime tribunal. My phone was buzzing relentlessly. My HR director, a woman I usually only heard from about benefits enrollment, had slacked me. We need to talk. My stomach dropped. I knew instantly that my comfortable, predictable life had just taken a very sharp, very unexpected turn. The first shoe to drop was the suspension. Pending investigation, they called it. A sterile, corporate phrase that felt anything but. It meant I was locked out of my work accounts, my projects frozen, my professional identity suddenly placed in a cold storage unit. I tried to tell myself it was just a formality, that once they saw the tweet in context, they'd understand. I was wrong. Then came the screenshots. Oh, the screenshots. My 18 words photoshopped next to a swastika, twisting my meaning into something vile and hateful. My LinkedIn headshot, the one I'd pay good money for, suddenly tagged fascist trash across social media platforms. It wasn't just online anymore. It was seeping into my real life. staining everything. The feeling of violation was intense, like someone had broken into my house and rearranged my furniture just to mess with my head. But the real gut punch? My home address, posted in a Discord server called Accountability Hub. That's when the abstract online outrage became a very real, very physical threat. The digital mob wasn't just screaming anymore. They were knocking on my metaphorical door. A certified letter arrived, thick and formal. The company's investors, it read, were reevaluating brand alignment. Translation: one more headline, one more viral outrage cycle, and I was vapor. Gone. Instantly. I deleted the tweet. Too late. The internet had already minted my words into a permanent, unerasable coin of outrage, and it was being passed around at lightning speed. It felt like trying to unring a bell after the whole town had heard it. The threats. I wish I could say they were all bots, or anonymous trolls hiding in the digital ether. It would have been easier to dismiss. But they weren't. These were real people sending videos of my apartment building, promising to show up with zip ties and fireworks. You read that, and your blood runs cold. It's not just words on a screen anymore. It's a direct, visceral threat to your physical safety. I bought pepper spray. I installed a door camera. Every shadow looked a little longer. Every unfamiliar car seemed to linger a moment too long. I started waking at 3 a.m., heart pounding, checking the deadbolt, double-checking the window locks. Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford, replaced by a constant hum of low-level paranoia. And my friends, the ones I thought would have my back, some stopped texting back, fearing guilt by association, worried that the online mob might turn its attention to them. Others just didn't want the drama, the sheer toxicity of it all. It was isolating, profoundly so. Free speech, I realized, wasn't a team sport played on a level field. It felt like a solo sport played in a minefield, with each step a potential explosion. The support system I'd always taken for granted just evaporated. The collapse Friday at noon. The final call came. My HR director, her voice carefully neutral, read me the separation agreement. I stared at the company logo on the wall, a stylized green leaf, wondering how many reusable water bottles it would take to pay rent now. How many years of my life had I poured into this place, only for it to end with a polite, corporate execution? Severance, 8 weeks. A pittance, really, given the circumstances. Non-disparagement clause, eternal. It meant I couldn't talk about what happened, couldn't share my story. Couldn't even vent my frustrations without risking what little they were offering. I signed. Because rent waits for no philosophical principle, no matter how strongly you believe in it. Principles, no matter how noble, don't pay the bills or put food on the table. That night, I made a spreadsheet, a grim, terrifying tally of my remaining resources. Savings, health insurance COBRA payments, groceries, my dog's meds. The math laughed at me. It wasn't just a job I'd lost. It was my financial stability, my sense of security, my entire future suddenly looking like a blank, terrifying page. The comfortable life I'd built had crumbled in less than a week, all because of 18 words. The chilling silence. For the next month, I didn't post a single thing online. Not a photo, not a comment, not even a casual like. I became a digital ghost. Every word I typed in emails to recruiters, every message to a former colleague, was double-checked, triple-checked. I'd ask myself over and over, could this be misread? Could this be twisted by someone with a grudge and too much free time? Could this, somehow, lead to another catastrophe? Self-censorship crept in like black mold, quiet, toxic, and incredibly hard to bleach out. It wasn't just about what I couldn't say. It was about what I dared not even think, for fear it might accidentally slip out. My thoughts became filtered, my opinions muted, even in my own head. I wasn't living in Orwell's novel of overt totalitarian control. I was living in its footnotes, where the fear of consequence did the work of the thought police, quietly, insidiously. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was deafening, a constant reminder of what I'd lost. The broader picture. Here's the part people skip. The inconvenient truth. that gets lost in all the talk about free speech. We talk a lot about the First Amendment, right? But here's the kicker. The dirty little secret no one tells you in civics class. The First Amendment stops Congress from abridging your speech. It doesn't stop your boss. Private employers, they can fire you for speech they hate, even if it's expressed outside work hours or on social media. The Supreme Court precedent on this is crystal clear. Your employer's reputation, their values, their brand alignment, those often trump your personal expressions. Add social media algorithms into that mix, algorithms that are practically engineered to reward outrage, to amplify conflict, to turn every minor disagreement into a gladiatorial arena. And what do you get? A perfect storm. A situation where a single comment can be plucked from context, weaponized, and used to dismantle your entire life. It's not about truth or nuance. It's about clicks, engagement, and the dopamine hit of collective indignation. Think about it. When people are afraid to speak up, not just about politics, but about anything, that's when things really start to unravel. A 2023 Pew survey found that a staggering 60% of Americans had self-censored in the past year. 60%. The land of the free, ironically, is increasingly becoming the land of the quiet. When we silence ourselves, when we pull back from uncomfortable conversations, we're not just protecting ourselves, we're eroding the very fabric of open discourse that a healthy democracy needs to survive. We're creating a society where only the safest, most agreeable opinions are voiced, and the truly challenging, important ones are left unsaid. The comeback plan. I needed income. And not just any income. I needed income that didn't depend on a committee of brand-sensitive investors, or a single HR director, or the fickle whims of an online mob. I needed financial autonomy, a shield against future digital storms. So I started freelancing. Data visualization, pitch decks, content strategy, whatever paid the bills, whatever I could leverage my skills for. It was a grind at first. I set my rate low, just to get my foot in the door, just to build a portfolio. Every happy client, every positive review, was a tiny victory, a step towards rebuilding. And with each one, I raised my rates, little by little. It was like learning to walk again, but this time on a tightrope, with no safety net. I also started this channel, because stories like mine, stories you can't tell at a staff meeting, stories that challenge the comfortable narratives, still deserve daylight. They deserve to be heard. Revenue is patchy. It's not the steady paycheck I used to have. But every single dollar feels like a tiny act of rebellion. It's a dollar I earned on my own terms, free from the corporate leash, free from the fear of a viral tweet undoing everything. It's not just about money. It's about reclaiming my voice, one small independent step at a time. Mid-roll CTA. If you've ever bitten your tongue to keep the mortgage alive, if you've ever scrolled past a comment you desperately wanted to reply to, but held back, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hit subscribe. I drop new episodes every week about surviving the crossfire between speech and survival, about navigating this minefield we call the modern world. Stick around. Next time, I'll show the exact email template I used to land my first freelance client, because practical tips are just as important as philosophical discussions. Lessons learned. This whole ordeal, as traumatic as it was, taught me some brutal, invaluable lessons. 1. Assume nothing is private. Ever. Your DMs, your private social media posts, even casual conversations. They can be screenshotted, shared, and weaponized in an instant. The digital footprint is permanent, and it can be exhumed at any time. So speak as if the whole world is listening, because increasingly it is. 2. Facts calm some people, but outrage addicts don't want calm. They want dopamine. They're chasing that rush of indignation, that feeling of moral superiority, and your well-reasoned argument is just fuel for their fire. Don't expect logic to win against an emotional mob. Understand the audience you're actually engaging with. Diversify your income like you diversify your 401k. One employer should not hold your entire identity, your entire financial future, your entire sense of self-worth. That kind of single point of failure is a massive risk in today's volatile landscape. Build multiple streams, cultivate diverse skills, and ensure you have options. 4. Speak anyway, but speak with a plan. Don't let fear silence you entirely, because that's a different kind of death. But be strategic. Understand the potential consequences, weigh the risks, and choose your words and platforms carefully. It's not about being timid, it's about being smart. 5. Solidarity matters. The friends who stayed, who checked in, who offered a couch or a meal or just a listening ear, they became lifelines. They reminded me what true human connection looks like. The ones who ghosted, who vanished when things got tough, they taught me who not to miss. True allies are revealed in the crucible of adversity. The question I still chew on: should the price of honesty, of expressing a genuinely held opinion, be this steep? Is this the kind of society we want to build? If we keep raising that price, if we keep making the personal cost of speaking out so astronomically high, who gets priced out? It won't be the powerful, the wealthy, the insulated. It will be the everyday people, the ones who can't afford to lose their job, their reputation, their safety. Democracy depends on people willing to say the inconvenient thing, to challenge the status quo, to offer dissenting opinions, even if they're unpopular. When we make that risk unbearable, when we punish nuance and reward outrage, we don't get safer, more civil discourse. We get silence, then resentment, then louder, more extreme lies that fill the void. That cycle, I promise you, ends nowhere good. It's a road to a less free, less thoughtful, and ultimately, a more dangerous society. Conclusion. My tweet didn't ruin my life. It revealed how fragile life can be when your livelihood hinges on public opinion, on the whims of a digital crowd, on the policies of a corporation. It was a brutal, painful awakening. I'm still rebuilding, still cautious, still talking, because the alternative, voluntary muzzles for the rest of my days, a life lived in perpetual, fearful silence, feels like a slower, more insidious kind of death. It feels like giving up on something fundamental to who I am, and to what a healthy society should be. If you've got a story about speech that cost you, about a moment where you had to choose between your voice and your survival, drop it in the comments below. Let's trade notes on how to stay loud without becoming targets, on how to navigate this incredibly complex landscape. Hit like if this helped. Share it with the friend who keeps saying, "It can't happen to me." And I'll see you next week, same time, same risky channel.